Well, hello everyone and welcome to Cable 14's Generation Z. I'm your host, Amanda Pope, and thank you so much for joining us today. Over the past 5 episodes, we've talked about the first 5 keys to successfully growing and starting your business. And I really hope that you've seen a lot of progress so far and you've been inspired by the incredible business experts that we've had on the show so far. And so far, we've talked a lot about discovering your authentic purpose, making smart choices, discovering what makes you special as a business, getting the word out, and the importance of goal setting. And my next question for you is, what do you need to do next? And that leads us into the final step to successfully starting and growing your business, which is to take the brave next steps. And what I challenge you to do as an aspiring entrepreneur or a growing business owner is to get out of your comfort zone. You need to take those brave next steps, and you need to do what makes you afraid, because ultimately that's where you'll see growth. And it's incredible today because we have a number of inspiring entrepreneurs and people with a lot of experience in this business field who can inspire you to take those brave next steps. And right now we're here with the CEO and founder of GoWrench Auto, which is Joshua Laombardo-Bottema. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's awesome to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
And no problem. So it's incredible to see how brave you are as an entrepreneur, especially a young entrepreneur. I know I've talked to you in the past many times, and it's incredible to see what you've been doing and how you've really been growing your business. So why don't we start off with talking about GoWrench Auto and the services that you provide?
Sure. So GoWrench Auto is basically your mechanic shop on wheels. So we perform automotive maintenance and more right to your door. So that's repairs, oil changes, we'll fix your brakes, whatever you need done on your car. We actually send certified technicians to your home or your work to get it done. So no more waiting in shops, no more getting rides back and forth. And the best part is that because of our structure, we save our customers anywhere from 10 to 30% on their automotive repairs as well.
Awesome, and that's so convenient, right? And I think as a business owner, that's what you want to do. That should be your goal, is to help solve problems for your clients, right?
That's
and make your life easier. So why don't we talk about the process of how you launched GoWrench Auto? What were your challenges?
Well, just like any business, your challenges are usually the same thing. Is first you need to validate your idea. It all started as an idea, and nobody had done this before. Nobody had a mobile mechanic solution that was like a larger business. So first validating your idea and getting a little bit of feedback. So I started out, and a lot of times when business owners start, they tell people, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, or I have this idea. And my advice to them is to own the idea. Just even if you haven't started, just like, you know, if you're working, for example, and you're starting a business, don't talk about your day job, right? Just say like, yeah, I started this business, this is what I do. Because if people say, that's really cool, how do I buy, how do I move forward with that? Then you have your traction, you have your validation, and you're gonna get a lot more feedback that way as well. So own the idea. And I remember getting my first customer before I had even started off, just by telling people what I was doing. And then they said, this is great, like, can we get a service? And I said, you know what, thank you so much, but I'm totally not set up for this yet. This is just in the idea phase, but thank you so much for letting me know that you're interested in this. And that kind of gave me the gas, no pun intended, to take the next steps forward to move my idea from idea to actually implementing it.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example of what bravery is taking those next steps, because we have an idea and it really does push us out of our comfort zone to actually work with that idea and make it a reality, right?
Absolutely.
So there's this one quote, and it says, no great thing comes from a comfort zone. And my question for you is, of course, as a young entrepreneur, someone who is so brave and has seen a lot of success, do you agree with this quote?
Absolutely. In order to grow, you need to step outside your comfort zone. And so is it scary? Yeah, it can be a little scary sometimes. You're doing stuff that you're not used to, or that maybe you feel isn't your expertise yet, but it's also a lot of fun because you're challenging yourself, and that's the way that I think young entrepreneurs should look at it. Is they should be looking for a challenge. You're young, you know, whether you're young or old, you can accept a little bit of risk, but it doesn't have to be that scary. You don't have to go out and do, something that is too much risk. And so for me, when I started out, like I said, like taking that idea, just talking to people about it like it was already an idea and owning it, rather than being like, well, what do you think of this? Or I might do this, or I might, use a very committed language, instead of wishy-washy language. And yeah, you have to take a few risks and but make them calculated risks. But for sure, you have to step outside your comfort zone, because in order to achieve different results than you've ever gotten before, you need to do something different than what you've ever done before.
Exactly. And what have you done that you've had to push yourself out of your comfort zone and had to take those brave next steps?
That's a long list, because every day poses a new challenge. So anything from, taking on your first employee to even just setting it up, quitting a job, for example. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, they're choosing between, do I stick with my day job or that? And I was in that situation. I had owned a company before. I had sold it, came on board as an employee with the company that bought it. And so I had a corporate job and, was doing pretty good. And then I had to make a decision that, am I going to stick with this job or am I going to go full time? And as soon as I had a little bit of traction, it wasn't enough, but it was enough to show me that this was going to work. So then, I made that leap, and that was the first big step, the first big risk that I took is, quitting a job, for example, to pursue what I was more passionate about, which is entrepreneurialism. So then from there, every day we take calculated risks, and we have to ask ourselves, how do we move this forward? How do we trailblaze, and especially in an industry where nobody's done this before. So we didn't, if you want to open up a restaurant, you can go look at 5,000 restaurants that have successfully opened and kind of copy them, right? And say, what did they do right? So when you're doing something innovative, you're actually trailblazing, and you're taking on more risk because you don't know what you're doing, and there's nobody to show you the way either. So that was a very interesting thing. So it took us a little longer to iterate and really narrow down the route that we wanted to take. And so just be ready to pivot, I'd say, is the big thing. Yeah.
And that's great advice for an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who has been running a business for several years, is you need to make sure you take those brave next steps. And just listening to your story as well, it's very inspiring. So thank you so much for taking the time to come out on Generation Z and to just give that advice, because I know for me, if I was where I was 3 years ago when I was starting out with my business, that would have really helped me. So thank you so much. And if you want to contact Joshua, or if you have any questions or would like some of his services, you can check him out with his website, which is www.GoWrenchAuto.com. And you can also give him a call as well. And you'll definitely want to stick with us, because after the break, you will discover where you can go to seek help for starting your business. And in addition to that, you could get $3,000 as well. So stick with us.